doing this just the first time going around because it should be what it should be. Um, so I'm talking in this format rather than just words because it's a hard thing to even put into words, but it's something I need to put out there because there's just a lot of this that's gonna be going on, and we collectively need to do things to try to prevent this from happening. So, what I'm talking about is in regards to, unfortunately, not this past Saturday, but last Saturday, um, a friend lost his battle with addiction and overdose. Um, not gonna say his name or tag his name in this because out of respect for the family and out of respect for him, but um, he was 39 and didn't even make it to 40. And and it's just it's an unfortunate disease that is spread throughout the country, and in times of COVID, um, it's just something that is gonna keep on percolating, unfortunately. And this is a little bit rougher because even before I met him, I found out that before we had met back in 2015, um, that he was in a bad car accident and he was he wasn't able to talk and he wasn't able to move, and he was able to come back from that and he had a second chance in life, and he just wasted it, and that's what a lot of us do, unfortunately. We focus in on the negative and we don't realize how lucky we are to just be alive and breathing, and how many people we have that love us and that cherish us. And when we decide to give up through either suicide or just through slow suicide, essentially, um, it creates an impact and a wave on all of us. And it's not in a positive way, it's in a way to make us all feel that we should possibly go do the same, because if you do it, then why shouldn't I? And that's just not the way we can be. We need to be strong. We need to be together. We need to respect each other. We need to respect ourselves. And number one is respecting ourselves, because if we respect ourselves and don't let the narcissism and the ego go too deep in, then we'll respect each other, and then we could all find our happiness. And not that all of us need everything in the world and need to have the privileges of privileges that some of us think think that we need when we grow up young and stupid. But we really need to help each other and be there for each other. And it's a big issue that I see amongst a lot of us, that we don't simply pick up the fucking phone. And we really don't realize, most of us at this point, that sometimes somebody just needs to hear your voice. and that'll propel them to get on a good groove and not into the negative motions that end up making them want to give up. And whether that's in one act or in a slow progression, but people, it's natural to want to give up because there, in my belief, there is something more than this. So you want to move on sometimes because this earth is a fucking hard thing to deal with. Whether you want to, whatever you want to call it, from a religious standpoint, purgatory, or whatever it is. And, but you have to find the good and the bad. And if we keep on all pushing towards that good and reminding ourselves and reminding our friends and reminding our families that there's good and there's positive and there's light, and even in the darkness there is good, then we can all get through this together. And then we can respect ourselves and respect each other. And respect is really the key thing in all of this. Everyone matters here. Every death that happens is tough. Because we want people here for as long as possible. Our family and loved ones, and everybody is somebody's family and somebody's loved one. Even if they're not yours, to in your circle, in your bubble. And I feel bad, but not terrible as I would have a few years ago. This is one of the friends that I forgot to contact during COVID. I didn't message him, be like, hey, what's going on? How's it going? When there's plenty of other friends that I did and who didn't get back to me, and this is one of the friends who would have, and who obviously who needed me. And I just always say, and I've posted it a couple of times throughout, like, if somebody needs help, if somebody's in that dark place, contact me, or contact whoever you're comfortable with talking to about that type of stuff, because it's important. It's important when you're getting into that hole to not let yourself be your own worst enemy. And I'm saying words here, but I don't even really know what to say. But I just hope that maybe what I'm saying here gets through to some people, to be there for people and for people to focus on the positive. And with every single life mattering, like, I really hope this is a message for people to be there for each other. And in COVID times now, being there for each other is respecting the fact that we don't live in our normalcy and we don't live in our privilege. Because I'm outstanded to see how it's really childish to what people think that they need to have. When there's people waiting 10 hours in line for food, and there's nurses and doctors who are going to have PTSD for years and decades because of the ramifications of the privileged choices that we need to make, apparently. And I say need in quotation marks. Because it was not this past Saturday, but the Saturday that my friend decided to transition over to whatever it is on the other side. Whether it's my friend or the universe, whatever it is, it's hard to quantify. But I was invited over by a female friend who I hadn't seen in like a year, because I decided to get her some like jewelry that I just wanted to support friends who make it. And so I sent her it, and she was really happy and excited. And she's like, "Oh, I'm in Queens too. You should come through." And I'm like, "What's going on?" Because if it was like a bar, I'm not fucking going to that shit. But she invited me. She said, "Oh, it's like an outside barbecue thing." And I decided to go, and I checked it out, and I can't even say the shit that was going on there. All I'll say is it was the privilege of privilege, and it's it's part of the problem as to why people don't have the basics in this country and basics around the world, because you don't get to party and you don't get to do things for non-spiritual reasons until people get to have their basics. That's just it. I'm sorry to tell you. Like, that's why, like, today I put on Neil Young's The Needle and the Damage Done for the first time in a while. And let me just. And one of the lyrics in it is, "I lost my band and I watched the needle take another man." And you could interpret those words in a lot of ways. But the way that I'm looking at it now is because the music scene is one of the tougher parts of this of COVID that's getting hit. And you know what? There's a reason for it. And I've seen it throughout. And I'm not gonna name specific scenes or bands or anything like that, but there is a disgusting amount of privilege of people doing shit that is so not what they have to do, and people just looking to party and numb themselves from the world and just having fun, when you could have fun, but there needs to be a spirituality brought back to this world, because the lack of spirituality is what makes us keep on burning away at the earth and not creating a cycle of using it and then letting it recover and then making sure that we could be here forever. Like, it can happen, we can do this, but it's just our selfishness, our narcissism, our ego to think that we have to be doing stupid shit, honestly. And that we're not willing to listen, to not do gatherings and not be on top of each other, and to make sure to always be wearing a mask right now. Like, respect the nurses and doctors, the first responders, who are dying and who are gonna have, like I said, PTSD because of the actions that we are not that we are taking, and the actions that would benefit us and get us out of this situation we're not willing to take because we're being children. There's we are a grown nation of adult children. And that's a generalization, and there's plenty of us who get it and are trying. But we all have to be part of this. We are all connected. We are all Americans. We are all humans. So as a world, as a globally, we all have to, this is impacting all of us. And we all need to be in this together. And we all have to be there for each other, and we have to be there for ourselves. And it brings back to respect. Respect yourself, respect each other's, and be there for others. That's what this whole thing is. It's the Mother Earth screaming, "Help! You're abusing me. Stop it." And now the psycho part of it, of us having to be more alone around each other and not do gatherings and stuff. We have another cry for help, and we're lucky. Like, this isn't the Spanish flu back in the early centuries. We have networks. We have cell phones. We have ways of contacting each other without spreading the virus, and we can help each other and make sure friends don't make decisions that make us also think about doing negative things. because the cycle of addiction, the cycle of suicide needs to stop, just like abuse. Because there's two core concepts, and then I think I'm gonna finish this up. If if we can't protect our children, and we can't especially the children part, that's the top priority, and that's the number one thing in this that we have to figure out. And if we can't protect ourselves, if we can't be there for each other to make sure that we don't go down the evil rabbit hole, so that others keep on going through this black hole and we get suctioned into it, then we really have no chance, and the world will be done, and we don't deserve it, because this is a beautiful place, and we are beautiful people, and we have beautifulness that has a chance of really creating a wave of positive beautifulness around this earth. But we decide our decisions, the ramifications of our decisions, whether it's the privilege, the selfishness, the narcissism, the ego, we have to figure out the balance of getting to a place where, like I said, all of us have the basics, and then when all of us have the basics, then we can transform and do some fun shit, just for fun's sake, and not necessarily just the spiritual stuff. But I think the spiritual is always part of what we do. But I'll just end off as like, just please be there for each other, and start really focusing on what matters. Please. And if you're thinking of going down that dark hole, contact somebody, because your action of doing that creates more actions of other people's doing that. And the most biggest example is sexual abuse, because the ones who are the abusers usually are the ones who have been abused. So the ones who decide to go too far in an addiction, the ones who commit suicide, are the ones who have had people around them who have done it. It comes from a source. But let's find the positive source. Let's find the light, and stop going down the evil. Stop going through the bitter darkness that makes us make choices that do not benefit us. Please. I beg of you. So, yeah. So just make sure you know who to contact. There's suicide hotlines. There is NA and other things to go by if you don't feel like you have the right friends and family to talk to about this type of stuff. Try to see if you can afford a psychologist or therapist if it's really needed. But be careful what you put in your body, both physically and mentally, because your body is a temple, and this whole earth is a temple, and we have to start treating it like that more and more. So I hope this is helpful. I hope I'm saying the right things. I just don't know anymore. Like, I have hope and I have faith and I feel positive things coming, but then there's always just this wave of negative shit that makes you really question and reevaluate whether or not we're gonna get over the hump or whatever it is. I don't know. But I'll end off how I've been ending most messages with people of late. Be well, stay well, respect yourself, and respect each other.